What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here for PackersNews.com, live on Facebook late in the day. It's late on Thursday afternoon. I have a very live house at the moment, so I'm going to apologize if anyone walks into frame, but didn't want to wait any longer. Wanted to jump on here and talk some Packers with you guys and see what's on your minds. I'm running a different program, as you can probably tell, or maybe you can't, but I'm definitely shooting in another room. Because my house has been taken over by other human beings. But I thought I'd jump on here and say, hello, Jennifer. Thanks so much for joining. Josh, hello. How are you? Irish coffee. No, straight coffee. Just some coffee. Aaron Harper, hi. How are you? Jim, hello. All these comments, amazing. Stacy, hi. How are you? Tony, hello. Hmm. So saw a bunch of chatter online today. Thought I'd jump on and see what you guys were thinking in regards to the new staff or possibility of the Senior Bowl stuff or whatever you want to talk about. Let's see. Wow, lots of comments. Josh, hi. Montgomery stays or no? Scott, if you're asking about Ty Montgomery, yeah, I think he'll definitely be back. I don't think there's any questions. It's hello from Germany. How are you? I think there'll be questions about how he'll be used next year, but I think he'll definitely be back in the fold, no doubt. Detroit checking in. What's up? It'd be a lot cooler if it were Irish. Not yet. A lot of ball game left. Patton going after Tramon Williams? No, I can't see that happening. That would be a big surprise. Um, Although I will say, Tramon Williams quietly had a pretty solid year down there in Arizona, so it's not like that would be the world's worst thing. But yeah, no, I don't see that happening. Let's see what else we got here. New staff excites me, Jennifer. Yeah, I think you should be pretty excited. I think McCarthy's done a good job of balancing guys with a lot of experience, some young guys. He did give Pettin at least one assistant he has familiarity with, along with a couple of holdovers there in Joe Witt Jr. and some of the other guys. So, yeah, I think you should be excited, definitely. Montgomery stay, yeah. I don't know where the idea that Montgomery wouldn't be back is coming from, but I'm pretty sure he'll be back. What is the weakest link in Green Bay? Martin, that's a great question. I would say at the moment, probably outside linebacker or rusher. As Pettin said, we can be hand in the ground traditional 4-3 end, or they can be stand-up rushers. Whatever the case, I think that is probably their shallowest position. Uh, Out and out pass rushers. Now, however you want to define that is up to you, but I think, anyone who can win a one-on-one on the outside, that's where the need is greatest, I would say. Cobb, Nelson taking a pay cut. Lane, I doubt it. Maybe Nelson. I don't. And even if you want to term it a pay cut, I think it'll be a restructuring, probably with incentives so that he can gain some of that, if not all of that money back. He has indicated he is open to that. As for Cobb, I don't think they'll touch Cobb's contract, but you never know. It's a possibility. Is there still a spot on this coaching staff for Darren Perry? Kevin, McCarthy did make it sound like that, and heck, I mean, Darren Perry was involved in one of their meetings yesterday morning, so that tells you that he's still involved. He was on the phone for this meeting. I do believe he's still in the running for the defensive coordinator spot in Nashville for the Titans and Mike Vrabel's new staff. So I think that's probably what they're waiting on. But there's definitely a place for him in Green Bay if he so chooses to stick around. Oh wow, a lot of comments here. Thoughts on Janice, Heidi? Or I'm sorry, is it? Yeah, Heidi. I think they'll probably have him back. I know he's set to be a free agent, but he's very valuable on special teams, and he does offer them kind of a break glass in case of emergency type option at wide receiver. But he's first and foremost a special teams player, and there's no problem with that. I mean, Jared Bush stuck around Green Bay for a long time being just that, and he ultimately paid dividends not only as a special teams player, but as a guy who, when called upon in the Super Bowl, made a big play. Mostly because he had done his homework and knew the defense. And that's invaluable if you've got a special teams guy who excels on teams, as Janice does, and then is able to step in when injury strikes, so to speak. Love coffee. I love coffee too. Jim, no, I'm not surprised Ron Zook still has a job. He actually did a pretty good job with special teams this past year. I know Packer fans may not agree with that, but just look at the new annual special teams rankings. They went from 25th to 16th. Now, 16th is nothing to crow about, but it's much better than 26th, and it's much better than dead last, where they were the year before that, 2 years ago. So there has been steady improvement. They got a lot of good stuff out of Justin Vogel, a rookie punter. I think their coverages were good. I think some of the return units were poor. Some of that was due to Trevor Davis's questionable decision making, and they never really found a dynamic returner on kickoff returns. But for the most part, I think Ron Zook has done a pretty good job. Thoughts on Davenport? Zach, I like him. I've heard my initial kind of poking around there at 1265 Lombardi. I hear the Packers don't like him. So we'll see. Now, maybe that's an early evaluation, and maybe they come around on him. But I like what I've seen on tape, but I haven't watched nearly as much as those guys have. So, we'll see. I like your disco ball. Yeah, thanks. Actually, I believe that's my daughter's disco ball, but she didn't want it in her room anymore. Are the coaching staff moves official? Yes, they were announced yesterday by the team. So everything you saw reported there at PackersNews.com, that's all official. Why do you think Winston Moss is back as outside linebackers coach, assistant head coach? I got to admit, I asked that same question, and I didn't really get a satisfactory response from a couple of people out there in Green Bay. I do think McCarthy likes having him around as a guy who is a good liaison with the players. The players really respect him, and he's known to kind of tear into guys on occasion when McCarthy may feel they need it. Now, McCarthy has no problem tearing into people. If anybody who's been at a training camp practice when things have gone badly and heard Mike McCarthy dropping F-bombs, he is not above chewing guys out. But I do think he does like having Moss around as, as kind of an enforcer, so to speak, and as that associate head coach that, takes some of the administrative and other responsibilities off of McCarthy's plate. Mostly, though, I think, he's known Moss for a very long time. He's been with him for a very long time. He knows McCarthy and all of his kind of tendencies and everything that he's going to want out of the team, out of practice, game plans, etc. And that's, pretty much what I can tell. That's why he's still around, because it's hard to see that there's any one player that's really gotten improved markedly under his tutelage, or what outside of those responsibilities that I just talked about that he's really brought to the team. What you drinking, Nicole? It's just good old-fashioned Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Now, let's see. What's going on with HaHa? Jack, that's a very good question. Well, right now, nothing, because he's still under contract. But I imagine the question is about his step back in play last year, and there's no doubt that he took a step back, and it's kind of a mystery as to why. Now, the slide began at the end of the previous year, but I did think he'd come back, hit the ground running, and kind of take over again. But he really, from bad angles to poor pursuit to questionable effort at times, it was a bad year for Glenn Dix, and he desperately needs to bounce back. And the Packers need him to as well. And Manziel and Cap in the XFL. Jonathan, I don't know. Maybe. I guess. I don't think Manziel qualifies because of what Vince McMahon said today about no player can have any kind of record. Manziel certainly has one. So, but maybe Kaepernick. Who knows? We'll see. Do you think Patton will run a hybrid defense like he has in the past? I do, actually. I think you'll see probably much more what you saw in Buffalo than what you saw in New York with the Jets, because I think when you look at the way he operated his front in Buffalo, he had a guy with his hand in the dirt on the end a lot. And I think that could be Nick Perry in this situation. And obviously, in New York, he made it work with a lot of different kinds of guys up front. But the one thing he had at all times was Darrelle Revis, who was able to basically take away half the field by himself. So, he obviously doesn't have a lockdown option like Revis sitting there. So I think if you're looking for some kind of blueprint as to what he might run, I would look at his time in Buffalo. But even that will be multiple, and it will be different from down to down, and they'll try to present, different looks for the quarterback. That's something he touched on yesterday in his introductory press conference. Different looks to try and throw off the quarterbacks and give them a look of one thing while actually being something else. Super Bowl pick and score, Jim. Man, I don't know. Got another week to go, don't we? I know I'm still on the Patriots. I got to be honest. I'll be rooting for Philly. I'll be pulling for them, but I got to take the Pats in this one. Benjamin, bring Matt Flynn back. You know what? As bad as things got last year, if they were going to do it, you'd think they would have done it last year. So I tend to think that ship has sailed. Patrick Peterson? It's a possibility. We'll see if he actually hits the market. Josh, how are you, man? Is Nick Foles considered a lead if he wins the Super Bowl? Brian, that's a really good question. I'm going to say no, but heck, in this day and age where fortunes rise and fall on the news cycles that are less than 24 hours and guys can be made within a day, sure, why not? Raji to the XFL. That's what I'm talking about, Jimmy. Josh Simon says sign Cap. If you're talking about the Packers, I wholeheartedly agree. I thought they should have signed Cap last offseason. I thought they should have signed Cap during the season. I knew they never would, but that would have made a heck of a lot more sense than throwing Hundley out there. I don't think there's any doubt about that, especially. Sign Morris Claiborne. That'd be a decent signing. Who do you think will be the MVP of the Super Bowl, Russ? Probably Brady. And I know that's really boring, but it's probably pretty true. Is Adrian Peterson done? Ooh, good question, Craig. He didn't look done in Arizona, but he did end the season with an injury, and he is getting up there. I tend to think he's not done, but he needs to be, his usage needs to be limited and monitored. I'd say that. Bring Eddie Lacy back, Damian. I tend to think that ship has sailed. I can't imagine them doing that now, especially that they found some really good options at running back with Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, and even Devontae Mays. Plus, you throw in Ty Montgomery. Randall Cobb can run things out of the backfield. I don't think there's any need to go back there. Does Hundley have any trade value? I really don't think so. You never know. Maybe somebody sees something and they, offer the Packers a 5th-round pick, which is what essentially they spent on him. But man, I would tend to think the best thing they could get for him is a conditional 7th rounder, if that. I mean, I can't imagine that it's a team willing to give up anything for him after what he put on tape last year. Zion Robinson, cut Nelson. Josh, as Ted Thompson used to be fond of saying, this isn't fantasy football. Next right tackle, that is a great question. There's not a lot out there in free agency. And Brian Bulaga is not going to be ready for the season. Jason Spriggs has a busted kneecap, so he's probably not going to be ready for week 1. I tend to think they'll have to draft somebody. And that doesn't necessarily have to be early, but it's got to be someone they know can step in and play. So maybe they guard themselves by signing a free agent. But like I said, there's not much out there. There is one intriguing name out there, though, that I noticed today. Breno Giacomini, baby. He's going to be a free agent. Started at right tackle all year long for the Houston Texans. Wasn't particularly good, but he'd be cheap, and he could start some games for you. Guy's been a starter in the league. Got a Super Bowl ring. Bring him home, man. Former Packer. I'm kind of kidding here, but I'm kind of not, because you need someone to play right tackle. Let's see what else you guys. Oh, Tim Tebow's on my mentions here. I'm kind of scared. Kyle Murphy at right tackle. Michael, Murphy is definitely a possibility. I don't see him as a starter. I see him as a decent depth guy, but man, I can't imagine rolling out there week 1 with the plan for being Kyle Murphy for the next 6 weeks, which is essentially what you have to have. Because Bulaga is most likely. It's going to be a minor miracle if Bulaga doesn't start the season on the physically unable to perform list, which means he's got to be shelved for the first 6 weeks, which means you need someone to play for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of Kyle Murphy at right tackle, man, that's a scary proposition. What is this? Sorry, guys. I can't believe there's so many freaking questions here. Is Raji coming back or no? No. Raji at corner. There you go, Vega. Notre Dame offensive lineman, first round. Maybe you're talking about the guard whose name I always forget. I doubt it, but you never know. Biggest name that you think, the biggest name in Green Bay you think leaves this offseason? That's a good question. The best chance I would think would be Morgan Burnett. Set to be a free agent, due for his third contract, coming off an injured year. They drafted a guy who you would think would be his replacement in Josh Jones last year. This table seems set for him to be out the door. Plus, if anyone follows Spotrac, they just put out today, their market caps for the top 5 free agents at each position, and they projected that Morgan Burnett's going to get in the neighborhood of $10 million a year. I just can't imagine the Packers shelling that out. So you never know, but that's, I think, their most likely. Oh, wow, so many questions. Is Mark Murphy being watched by the board? Well, I mean, in so much that, yeah, it's their job to check in with him once a month. But this whole idea that, they're going to control the Packers through Murphy is a little overblown. Mark Murphy is the president and CEO, and he will run it. And he will check in with the board as he is required to every month. But they don't make decisions, and they don't call any shots, especially when it comes to running the football side of things. Does Montgomery go back to a receiver? I doubt it. I think he'll be both. I think he'll do things at the receiver position. He'll do lots of stuff at running back. I think the most important thing is just to get him on the field situationally and get the ball in his hands, because he's a positive play waiting to happen. It's just about making sure that he's not taking away from guys like Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, and Jones especially. Let me see. Good gosh, guys, so many questions. How will Patricia fare with the Lions? Man, I think he'll be a decent addition. I think he's a good football coach. I have no idea how he'll be as a head coach, but I think it's a strong hire for them, if and when it happens. Can Hundley play in the XFL, Jeremy? Possibly. Well, we'll see. Maybe if he moves on from Green Bay, you never know. We'll be live during the Super Bowl. No, I'll be live at a Super Bowl party, I'll tell you that. But no, I will not be live. Although that would be fun, wouldn't it? I'll do that on my personal page. I'll do a live stream of me watching the Super Bowl at a party, getting progressively more enthralled with the game. Montgomery at tight end. Oh, the guy can barely block as a running back. You want to put him in line at tight end to block, or H-back to try and block defensive ends? That's a terrible idea. What did you think about Pettin's comments about being a head coach? Al, I thought it was striking candor, and I really appreciated how kind of open he was about it. Definitely the way he really kind of painted that picture about getting beat up in Cleveland when he said, I was mentally exhausted and took a while to smell smells and see colors afterwards. I think he had a really bad kind of run of it there in Cleveland, as a lot of people have. I have little doubt that he feels he wasn't really given a fair shot, which I would agree with. But like I said, I appreciated his candor. Absolutely. See. Who do you like at backup QB? Dan? I think Ryan Fitzpatrick makes a lot of sense if he hits the market again. He's the kind of guy who could come in and at least keep the ship afloat in a way Hundley couldn't. I'm sure maybe Simeon, if he hits the market, I think from Denver, he's set to be a free agent, I believe. But somebody like that, somebody who started some games and knows, how to play the position at this level. Oh, so many guys. Sorry, Josh McCown. Yeah, Adam. I think he's another good example. Although I'm not sure he's going to be a free agent. All right, everybody. I'm going to have to get going. But thanks so much for the questions. There are a million of them here. I can't thank you enough. I hope the new setup didn't cause any havoc with your computers. Thanks so much. Make sure you're checking PackersNews.com for all the latest. We'll have stuff from the Senior Bowl. Michael Cohen's still down there. I believe he's set to talk to Brian Gutekunst today. So we'll have some new quotes for you, some new angles. Make sure you're checking all the stuff on the new hires. We'll have everything. If it's involving the green and gold, we've got it covered for you at PackersNews.com. Thanks a lot, everyone. Hope you have a great night, and I'll hopefully